What's up, guys? Back with another movie review. Today I'm here to talk about another one from Vinegar Syndrome. This is Emma Mae. This is the second movie on the Jama Fanaka double feature from Vinegar Syndrome. It's on with Welcome Home, Brother Charles. You can find a separate review for Welcome Home, Brother Charles in this very playlist. But right now we're going to talk about Emma Mae. And naturally, this movie is about a young woman named Emma Mae. And she has just arrived in Watts. She's a transplant from the Deep South. It's a huge, drastic shift for her. She's a little bit naive, definitely not very worldly when it comes to like the speed of life in Watts and the kind of people that are there. However, she's not just some pushover who doesn't know her way around. She's always willing to stand up for herself. She just kind of can be taken advantage of at times, and that's kind of what happens. She falls in with this guy who's like a small-time drug dealer. He's a drug addict himself, and they kind of get into this kind of toxic relationship to where Emma starts to choose him over her friends, and he's not the best guy in the world, and eventually he ends up getting into trouble, and she tries to help him, and he's like, you got to get me out of prison, I need all this money. And with her back against the wall, she decides to take some drastic actions, and that's kind of how the plot in this movie plays out. This movie is not really blaxploitation per se. It's just kind of a drama that has that centers in on black life in Watts in the 70s. I do think it has good performances. I think it has an interesting story because it has some social and political elements that are kind of actually pretty well done without being super heavy-handed. I think it has some pretty good performances. Jerry Hayes is really good in this. I love how tough she is. I love how whenever like a guy steps up to her, she is not afraid just to smack him back down again, which is what starts some of the violence in the movie. But this is not a bloody movie. This is not a exploitation movie, really. It's it doesn't have very much sleaze. It doesn't have it really has no sleaze. It has really a little bit of violence, but not much, and no real bloodshed. So it's very character driven, very story driven. It does have some colorful characters, which helps kind of keep the pace up a little bit. But it is a slow movie at times, and a couple scenes really do drag on. There's a party scene that's really slow and definitely maybe could have been trimmed a little bit. So if you're wanting like a crazy over-the-top blaxploitation movie, Emma Mae is not going to be that movie. But I think it's a really interesting movie nonetheless because I do think it tells a good story and I do like the characters. There's a guy who you can't understand a word that he says. He talks like super fast and like he's got marbles in his mouth. I really like that guy. He was one of the highlights of the movie for me. There is some humor, there is some action, there is a little bit of violence. But it's mainly just, kind of a restrained story. I think it's a very interesting movie for Fanaka's resume when you look at the other films he had made, especially since he made this right after Welcome Home, Brother Charles, which is a wild movie. For this one to be kind of restrained and grounded, is pretty interesting. And it does feel like real people in real situations, which is not an easy thing to pull off, but this movie does. So it just depends what you want out of it. And fortunately for Blu-ray collectors, Vinegar Syndrome has made it very easy to add Emma Mae to your collection without taking any kind of a risk, because more than likely you already want Welcome Home, Brother Charles in your collection, and so it's very easy just to to get this as kind of the add-on movie. I liked it, but again, I know some people think that it's too slow and they don't like that it doesn't have all the over-the-top blaxploitation stuff, and I can understand that for sure, but I still think this is a pretty solid movie. Like I said, from Vinegar Syndrome, you've got the second movie, Welcome Home, Brother Charles, which is awesome and is worth the price of this disc anyway, so you can always just look at it like you're getting Emma Mae just as a free movie, essentially. And then the rest of the disc also has a Q&A session with Jerry Hayes, the lead actress of Emma Mae, multiple trailers. It's got a appreciation of Jama Fanaka from the UCLA Film and Television Archives. The transfer for Emma Mae looks incredible. Like, some of the scenes look like brand new, like absolutely pristine. It's an amazing treatment. It's a 2K scan from the original camera negatives, and it looks, like I said, it just looks amazing. It's absolutely phenomenal. Some scenes show a little bit more wear and have a little bit of a softer look to them, but for the most part, this looks amazing. That's my review of Emma Mae. Hope you liked it. If you do, you can check out a full review for Emma Mae or Welcome Home, Brother Charles, or tons of other Vinegar Syndrome and Cold Horror, all kinds of other movie reviews, over 1,000 other movies reviewed at my website, markfusion.com. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Patreon if you want exclusive content. You can also follow me on Letterboxd if you want to see what I've been watching lately and see what might be coming up on the channel or make a recommendation. whatever, you can do that. The best way to help me out, though, is just to hit that sub button. Free, easy, direct way to support me, help me to keep making these videos. Also, watching old videos, you know, if there's something that catches your eye, or a genre, or a director, or a Blu-ray label, you can always check out some other awesome Vinegar Syndrome reviews here. That's a huge help to me as well. Helps my view count, my minute count, which is what YouTube cracks down on smaller streamers like me to get those numbers up. So thank you so much for watching this video. I do sincerely appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon.